All right, so preparing for this move has been a lot. I've been met with thoughts and, I don't know, fears. And I think whenever we try something new or different, it's always like, what if this doesn't work out? So I'm dealing with fears. I'm dealing with fears in my mind about, like, what if we run out of money? What if, it doesn't work out the way that I planned? What if, right? And we always go to immediately, what if it doesn't work out? Like, I know that I am predisposed to think, what if it doesn't work out? And I'm trying to change the way that I think to more of like, what if it does work out? Like, why don't I give myself the opportunity to dream in a way that is safe, that is fulfilling, that is fun? Why does it always have to be wrapped up in fear, wrapped up in, oh, this bad thing might happen? Because the truth is, it will work out, right? It will work out. Everything I'm doing is going to work out. One, it's going to work out for my good, right? But also, even if it doesn't work out the way that I want it to work out, it's still going to work out the way that it needs to work out. And I think when I approach things with that kind of like open-handed thought, right? That idea that I don't have to control everything. I don't have to make something happen. I'm not a failure if it doesn't turn out the way that I want it to, because it could turn out better. It could turn out better than I've ever thought of. Maybe my idea of what, something working out means is so small. Maybe my idea is so small, but it working out the way that it needs to, maybe that's greater than I could even imagine. Maybe that's bigger than dreams that I have for myself, right? Maybe it makes room for me to dream of another dream, of a better dream or a different dream, right? Like, maybe that is okay. Like, maybe it's okay if things don't work out the way that I want it to. And maybe it's okay that that I let in whatever, instead of trying to control everything, which is so hard and exhausting. If I just went along with it, if I went with the flow, I feel like then I'd be able to really enjoy my life, to enjoy the process, to see the ups and downs, not as it saying that I'm a failure or saying that I'm not good enough. Maybe it's just like, hey, I'm trying to show you something. I'm trying to teach you something. And I think that because I have this mindset of like, what if it doesn't work out? I'm going to have to be intentional and deliberate about meeting that thought with, it will work out. What if it does work out? What if everything I ever dreamed happens, right? What if, again, what I dream is not even the real dream? What if it is greater than I could even imagine? Leaving room for the what if in a good way, right? And not always anticipating something going wrong or me failing or, me, embarrassing myself. And also me not having to be married to the outcome. Like, the outcome has no bearing on my worth. It has no bearing on my value. It has no bearing on me. Like, if something doesn't work out and I'm frustrated and I am discouraged, that's okay, right? And it doesn't mean that I have to throw myself away, like I'm a failure. No, it's like, okay, that didn't work. What can I do different next time? Let's pivot and go this way this time, right? Instead of having it to mean so much. Having our decisions to mean so much. Sometimes it's okay for us just to be like, I'm going to try this thing and see what happens. And whatever happens, it's going to work out. Either I'm going to discover that I don't like the thing, I don't want the thing, or maybe this isn't what I really want, or I'm going to discover, oh my God, this is amazing, and more of this, please, right? Like, why does it have to be so hard? Why do we have to make life so hard? And we do this, whether intentional or, not, we do this to ourselves. We make life hard for ourselves. And I do understand that some of that pressure comes from other people, right? It's like, oh, well, you don't want to embarrass yourself. You don't want to fail. You don't want to be out here, start from ground zero again. And it's like, well, what is the other option? Is the other option just me sitting on my dreams? Is the other option just me, taking another 10 years to do what I really want to do? What is the other option? What is the other option to not really going for what I want in life? To sit there and be like, oh, I'm not going to try because it might not work out. But it might. What if it does work out? And it will work out. So why are we not living our lives honestly and authentically because of what could happen? And if it does happen, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But that doesn't mean that I should anticipate. One, I don't want to walk through life anticipating bad things. I don't want to walk through life anticipating that I'm going to be brokenhearted. I'm going to be, left destitute. I'm going to be taken advantage of. Because if I'm walking through life with that mindset, I'm going to be looking for affirmation of that thing, right? Like, if I'm walking through life like I'm a failure, like everything I do is going to fail, then I'm going to look for affirmations to support the idea that I'm a failure. And so at the first sign of a potential failure or whatever failure is to me, right, I'm going to give up. I'm going to self-sabotage. I'm going to like, see, I told you I shouldn't have done it because it's not going to work out, right? But if I walk through life expecting great things, if I walk through life expecting miracles, expecting, transformations, expecting new things I don't even know exist yet. If I walk through life expecting greatness, right? Then I'm going to look for that affirmation for greatness. It's going to change my perspective. I could be in the same place, but based on my perspective, that will really determine how I see my life, how I see myself, how I see my God, how I see my people, how I see opportunities, right? So like in this idea, it's like if I see an opportunity and I want to take advantage of it, I'm not going to if I think that I'm going to fail. I'm not going to if it doesn't feel safe. But if I make myself feel safe and say, girl, you're good enough, whether or not this works out, right? I'm going to try the thing. I'm going to feel empowered to do the thing. You know what I mean? So yes, more thoughts on this later. But the whole idea is, what if it does work out? And maybe it working out really is just a shift in mindset. Okay, this thing didn't work out the way that I wanted to. I see the opportunity to either innovate, to try again, to pivot, to do something different, to collaborate, to ask for help, right? In every failure, there are opportunities. And there's also an opportunity for me to say, you know what, this is it, I failed, we're done. It sucks, right? Like, I have that opportunity to do that. What I do with that opportunity is up to me. It's on me, right? So there are some instances where, yes, you will take in information and be like, you know what? This is telling me I need to stop, or this is telling me I need to quit. And that's totally fine. But a lot of times we quit before we even try. We quit before we're even on the road because we're affirming our beliefs with what we see and how we see it. You know what I'm saying? So take heart. Understand, like, I feel you. I'm scared about this next chapter in my life, but I also feel very good about me trying to be intentional about changing my perspective from, what if it doesn't work out? What if I fail? To, okay, what if it doesn't work out the way I want to? And how can I take advantage of that opportunity? What if it gets better? What if it does work out? What if I learn more things? What if I change my perspective, change my situation? Who will I meet along this way, along this journey? Expect great things, because I am deserving of great things. You are deserving of great things. You don't have to anticipate bad things happening in your life all the time. Give yourself permission to dream freely and joyfully. Give yourself permission to choose joy. Give yourself permission to choose peace, to be at peace with the fact that you might not know everything, that it might not turn out the way that you think it should turn out, right? And that could be beautiful, because me and my limited thinking and my limited experiences, right? I can only go so far. But when things take turns and when things don't turn out the way that I want them to, that leaves room for beautiful things, you know? So that's my thought. If things don't work out, sometimes they do. Sometimes when things don't work out, they do. And I know this from personal experience, from relationship experience, from work experience, all the things. Some things I pursue thinking I want to do this and it doesn't work out. But that's not where I was supposed to go anyway, right? So it did work out. It protected me from going down a path in which I was not meant to go down. You know, it's really about our perspective. Everything is perspective. Everything is perspective. And it's not me being, this high, vibrational, oh, think positive, glass half full. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even trying to do that. It's just real. Like, a lot of the prisons we live in are self-created. We created ourselves. A lot of the ways we think, we've been programmed to think that way. And when we learn that we can think differently, we choose not to. And it's hard. And we choose not to do the work because it's easier to anticipate wrong things. And it's also easier to not take the chance because there is a chance that it might not work out. It's easier. It gives us an excuse. It takes us off the hook. It's comforting. Like, having that negative thought process can be so comforting. What is hard is making yourself vulnerable to the truth that you really do want something different. You really do want to try. You really do want to put your hands to work and do the thing, right? That's hard. That's difficult. And I see you and I commend you. We can do it. You can do hard things. Because on the other side of doing that hard thing, everything is hard when you first start. When you're riding a bike, right? The initial push down on that pedal, it's a lot of effort. But when you get going, right, you have some momentum. You're building up your strength, right? Your experience. It gets easier and easier as you keep on trucking. So starting is always hard. It's always hard to start. But once you get going and you're learning and you're taking things in and you have some momentum working with you, right, to move the bike, That's when you start to experience the goodness, the wind underneath, your arms as you're going down the hill, and how good it feels to feel like you're flying. But we have to take that initial step first. So no, it might not work out, right? It might not work out. But even in it not working out, it still will. If we just take those opportunities of failures or things not working the way we want them to as opportunities to pivot, to learn, to innovate, to do again, right? To try. Sometimes we got to try again. You trying that thing one time and it failing is not good enough reason. It's not a good enough reason for you just to quit altogether. Think about experiments in the laboratory. They do trials over and over and over again. The first one might be a fluke. The first one might not even be like your fault. The first one, you might not be ready for the success. You got to keep showing up. You got to keep trying and be open to the what if. What if it could be better? What if I could win? What if it could be brilliant? What if on the other side of me saying, you know what, enough of this, let me pivot, there's something beautiful. But you won't get there unless you take that first step. So just like in that video that I talked about before, take the first step, y'all. It's hard, it's scary. It makes yourself vulnerable, right? And it's even vulnerable to admit that you really want to do that thing. It's easier to say, no, I don't want to do it because it might not work out, right? And then you're looking for people to affirm that, oh yeah, it might not work out. And you're like, okay, cool. Because this person said it might not work out, I'm not gonna do it. Okay, cool. I don't have to do it. No, no. It's okay to have that fear that it might not work out. But even if it doesn't work out, it's still an opportunity. It's still on the way somewhere. And so it's always better than just being stuck right here, like being stuck because we're afraid of it not turning out the way that we want it to turn out. And so even this idea of what we desire versus what we need, sometimes what we want to happen isn't necessarily what we need to happen, and what we need we actually ignore. So say, for example, I wanted to be a writer, right? And so my goal is to get published in this magazine. And so I'm writing articles, I'm sending them letters or proposals, and everyone is turning me down like, yo, what is going on, right? Like, what I want is not happening. It doesn't seem like it's working out, but I'm getting reps in the game, right? I'm dealing with my fear of rejection, right? I'm able to build my resilience. I'm able to become a well-versed or a well-written writer. I'm able to be a better writer because I'm getting the practice in, right? Maybe what was supposed to work out was me getting what I needed from that process and not necessarily the outcome that I desired. The outcome that I really needed was along the way. The outcome I needed was that rejection. So now I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to write my book, and now my book's a bestseller, right? For example, like that could be it. That could be the key. But if we're too wrapped up in controlling our narrative, if we're too caught up in our ego, if we're too caught up in needing everything to work out the way that we want it to work out, it gets kind of boring. And I feel like life surprises us more often than we realize. We're not often open to the surprises because we see it as failure. We see it as a detour. We see it as something getting in the way, instead of seeing the beauty in these things and these opportunities popping up. Instead of seeing the beauty, we turn away from it and we say, oh, this is annoying, this is aggravating because I'm trying to get here, but it's pushing me this way. What if we just opened up and said, okay, well, let me see where this is gonna go, right? They're telling me no. So maybe I can write my own magazine. Maybe I can create my own magazine for people like me who don't get the acceptance letters, right? Maybe I can create my own publication, my own writing retreat, right? Maybe from this practice, I realized I really like writing poetry. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are things that happen like this. But because we are human, we want very much to control our narrative. We want to be in control of everything in our lives. And so if things don't turn out the exact way that we want it to turn out, we see it as a failure, when really it's an opportunity. That failure is not a failure. We need to change our definition of failure altogether, I feel like, because failure is not what we think it is. Failure, a lot of things that we experience as failure is really just a time to pivot, a time to learn, a time to try again. Right? Like a time to ask for help. You know what I'm saying? But there are so many beautiful things. And for that writer who's sitting in those proposals and those letters and these writings, and they see it as a failure of them not getting accepted, they throw away their dream. They throw away all their dreams of being a writer, because them being a writer they're not able to be a writer in the way that they wanted to be a writer. But maybe you can be a writer in the way that you learn how to be a writer on your way to trying to write for a publication. Maybe you learn how to be a publisher on the way to try to write for somebody else. Maybe you become a writing coach. Like, there's so many different avenues we could take, but we see that roadblock, and instead of taking a detour, we turn around and abandon our road trip altogether. We abandon our dreams altogether. We abandon ourselves altogether. And we say that it's not good enough to try, that we are not worthy of a try or a pivot or a detour. We're not worthy of being inconvenienced. And that's what we say about ourselves. And we confirm this idea that we are not good enough even by how we treat ourselves. So no, some things don't work out the way that we want to, but they always do work out. They always work out. And so as I always say, I'm saying this to you as I'm saying it to myself. Let's go for it. Like, what are we doing, right? It might not turn out the way that we want to, and that sucks. And we can mourn those situations. I honestly understand that. I get it, right? But it's not enough. To me, it's not a good enough reason for myself. I'll speak for myself. It is not a good enough reason for myself. I will lick my wounds. I will mourn for months, and I'll pick up my things and pivot. I will pick up my things and keep going because I deserve, and God gave me dreams in my heart to not abandon them on the road because there's a roadblock and somebody told me no. I'm not going to tell myself no. If nobody else says yes to me, I'm going to say yes to me, right? Like, I have to give myself permission to do that, and permission to pivot and change my mind and iterate and try again and put it down and pick up something else, right? But just keep moving. Keep moving. If you need time to breathe and to rest and to mourn and to be sad, take that time. I'm not saying don't do that, right? But don't just give up on yourself and your dreams and your goals and the things that the passions, right? The things that make you come alive, the things that energize you. Don't put them down as if they're not worth it. They are, and so are you, okay? So things always work out, y'all. Let's discuss. Tell me what you're working through. Tell me what things you haven't given yourself permission to keep going. Maybe you've tried something and it didn't turn out the way that you wanted it to try out. And you say, oh, well, this must be a sign that I shouldn't do this. Let's talk. Just please leave it below, because yes, let's work through this. And we're going to talk about this on Patreon, so, and on the Discord. So I'll see y'all there. Just some thoughts I had to get out. Things will work out. They will work out the way that they need to work out, and we will get what we need. Always what we need. Sometimes not what we desire the exact way, but what we need will always come to fruition. All right? Talk to you later. Wait, before I go, I feel like this goes along with abundance mindset. This goes along with the abundance mindset. Seeing opportunity in everything and not scarcity. Seeing opportunity to pivot, to learn, to grow, to adjust, right? To do something different, to try again. That's abundance. That's abundance thinking, not scarcity. Like, oh, well, tried once, it's over for me. You ain't give yourself no opportunity to try, right? Keep going, especially if you feel it. If you feel it, like, you know what it feels like when you feel it. You know what it feels like when you feel it. When you're asking, should I do this? Yes, you should. Yes, automatically yes. If you're not hurting nobody, and especially if what you want to do is trying to help people, keep going. Even if it's helping yourself, keep going, y'all. And I'll talk to y'all in the next video.